Findability Sciences is an enterprise AI company offering data driven solutions including predictions and forecasting, conversational computing, and computer vision. Its Findability AI platform accelerates the data to AI journey with real financial ROI. Today, we have Mr. Anand Mahurkar, CEO of Findability Sciences, a distinguished member of Forbes Technology Council and Fast Company Executive Board. He has also received several awards and recognition for his innovation and growth-oriented approach. He is a passionate mentor and thought leader who shares his expertise in AI and machine learning with business leaders and emerging entrepreneurs. Hello, Anand. Welcome to our podcast series.
Hi, Samarpita. Hello, and hello to your audience. Thank you for having me. And that was quite an introduction. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The pleasure is all ours. So, can you start by telling us about your company and the services it provides?
So, Samarpita, Findability Sciences in an enterprise AI company, and we help businesses to manage their data using AI and then get to know what will happen and what to do for their businesses. We also offer the natural language processing related services, which includes solving complex problems of documents and document processing, and then in the new world, images and video. So in a nutshell, the enterprise suite consists of machine learning, natural language processing, and computer vision, and offers the solution to make use of data and make meaningful analytics and products for their businesses.
That's great. So, how does Findability Sciences help their clients flourish with AI?
So, Samarpita, as everybody who is listening to this podcast know that we are in data deluge in terms of every day, and this is now a very old and everybody knows it, but we are creating so much of content that humanity had never ever created in the past. Maybe in our personal lives or in the business areas, the data creation from people to people or people to machine or machine to machine has exponentially grown. So what we really help our enterprise customer is to harness that data and then make meaningful use of it. Because Samrita, when it comes to AI, what we are really trying to do is to mimic human brain into computers. Now, human brain has a capacity to store information, which we call it as memory, and then use it as when required, whether it is our education, whether it is safety, whether it is just pleasure in life. We have memories, and from memories, we take actions. So similar thing happens with the businesses when we deploy AI. The memory is really the data which they have created for last year, last 10 years, last 20 years, last 30 years. And that data is an asset which they are sitting on without really realizing the power of that quote unquote memory. So that corporate memory can be utilized now using the modern technology, and you can find out what happened in your business, and machines can really learn and understand the complex patterns within that data from the past. Now, once you know the past, you can now decide whether you want to know the future. And these AI systems can not only help you to understand what may happen, but what to do. So for example, I have a sales data for a manufacturing company for last 30 years. If I take that sales data, give it to an algorithm and say, learn this from last 30 years, it will understand its pattern related to weather, economy, population, geography, whatever it may be. And it can be infinite, and it can understand that and keep it in memory when you have a question. Now I have a question, what will I do my sales in next 10 months? When I ask that question, the machine can go from the patterns in the past and then give me the prediction saying that in next 10 months, you are going to do this sales. Now, this was aha moment few years ago, but now what is really expectation is that once I know what will happen, what should I really do to make it realize? So for example, if I'm going to tell some company that you are going to sell 1,000 units of your product in next 10 months, if that is true, then the companies need to know how to really make that happen or what to do in order to achieve that or even surpass that. So machines are now even capable of telling you what to do. So it's a long answer to your question, but this is what we do for our enterprises, that we help them encache the power of their historic data, deploy algorithms on top of it, and help them predict their future, see what can be done. And again, this is applicable to even natural language and the computer vision area where the prediction and forecasting may not be the outcome. But what you really want to know is that I have processed lots of documents in my company. Now, how can I automate that process? How can I capture the data automatically? How can I find out the errors? So those are the services we help our enterprise AI. And that eventually, Samarpita, leads to a reduction in cost, which is very natural, but really increasing the efficiency, launching new products, creating customer satisfaction. So there are a number of benefits out of using this historic data and making some meaningful use of that. And that's what we do for the enterprise organizations.
I must say that was really insightful. You made those complex technical jargon really easy to understand. So, coming on to the next question, what are some recent trends that we are seeing in AI?
So, Samarpita, I don't think we can complete this podcast without really talking the generative AI, and the whole industry or humanity for that sake has been taken by a storm called generative AI. So the latest trend is generative AI. Now, what is generative and what is difference between what I just told you in terms of what we offer? So what we really offer is the traditional machine learning technology. Now, the reason traditional word is attached to this, though it is very new, it is very modern, it is still alive, and it is going to be there for a number of decades in coming future. But when I'm using the traditional word is that, as I just explained, that memory and recollection of that memory and then taking decision is a human brain's power. And that's what we have mimicked into machine learning. Now, human brain also has an element of creativity. So we may not have in our memory or we may not have that learned somewhere, but the human brain has ability to do imagination. And this imagination is what now mimicked into the algorithms. And that is what is called generative AI. So what is the generative? It's basically it now generates the content on its own. So in my earlier example, I told you that I have historic data, I give it to machine learning algorithm and it will tell me what will happen and what to do. But now imagine that I have historic data. So we have all the web content, we have books and we have white papers and whatnot. So we have tons of electronic content available. What happens if I feed to the generative algorithm and I really don't know what I'm looking for? I'm not looking for prediction or forecast or etc. But I just want the algorithm to write an essay for me or write a poem for me or write a response to an email or draft an email or create a proposal. So that's where we have succeeded in last 6 months. And Samarpita, that is what is that been taken by storm, that machine can now generate its own content and therefore it is called generative AI. So long answer to your question, and for audience also, I think they must have used ChatGPT or Google Bard or Hugging Face, and there are dime a dozen companies now coming up with their own generative AI solution. But to just demystify everything, simply said, it is a machine learning algorithm which takes large amount of unstructured or a textual content and now is ready and available for you to really ask it to generate the content. So this has changed the direction of AI. This has changed the direction of machine learning. And this has also changed the direction of expectation from humans because it has now become a mainstream technology. It has become now a common man technology where anybody with no knowledge of AI or technology can pretty much interact with this system like a human and get responses or generate content. So, Samarpita, what is the latest in the industry is really generative AI. Now, how does it impact on humanity? What jobs will be taken care of by the machines, etc.? The jury is out. It's very new, but it's a very, very exciting times for the AI community.
Well, I think we all agree with you. Generative AI has absolutely taken the world by storm. So, do you think is there an acceleration of AI adoption and specifically enterprise AI?
Martha, the jury is really out on whether the adoption is accelerated because, as I just mentioned, because of the, let's take just one company, OpenAI, and their launch of ChatGPT product, and particularly they have made freely available, millions of people have adopted it. So in personal lives, if you see what's happening over last 6 months, is people are testing that can it write an email for me? Can it make a proposal for me? Can it write a software code for me, etc.? So there is an adoption or experimentation going on at a personal level, and therefore there is a lot of discussion about its potential, its harm, or its pros or cons. My experience and Findability Sciences, as I mentioned to you, who deal with B2B and enterprise AI, there is a big caution in enterprise AI. So I don't believe the adoption has accelerated. In fact, it has paused. A lot of discussions are saying, which we are doing on the traditional machine learning businesses, there is a pause saying, oh, can we use generative AI? And Samarpita, I recently wrote a blog on that now we have a hammer and everybody feels the problem is a nail. So generative AI are not necessarily going to solve all the problems in the enterprise businesses. So in personal lives, yes, you can experiment and use it. But when it comes to enterprise, the competition, the confidentiality of their data, privacy of their information is a prime most important. The regulations, the issues in, for example, in healthcare or finances, you cannot really take your enterprise data and give it to a centralized algorithm and get the output. So acceleration has not happened. The discussions have accelerated, the knowledge have accelerated, the awareness has accelerated, but enterprise AI community is on a pause and a caution mode to choose the direction. Next 6 months to a year, it is going to definitely decide. And I personally believe that the acceleration will happen. But as of now, it's really in a discussion mode, it's an awe mode, and companies are thinking and utilizing how we can use it. Samarpita, you must have seen today itself, NASSCOM has come up with their guidelines in terms of how this generative AI technology should be used. So it is as fresh as today that how companies should adopt it. And therefore, I don't believe the acceleration has yet happened. Will it take place? Yes, but it's going to be a lot of caution, a lot of guardrails will be put around it. A lot of legislation expectations are there from even human beings or corporates or enterprises, from governments. So very interesting times, and it definitely in years to come, the acceleration in a different way will happen and will be useful for enterprises.
That was really insightful. So, what do you think? How will generative AI impact different sectors?
So as we talked about the definition of generative AI, it basically generates. So the big impact, according to me and my study and my research, is all the content creators are going to become content editors. So this is going to be a big shift and big change in the industry. Now, while I'm using content creator as a silo, it need not be just someone who is authoring a document or etc. But there can be a widespread application of content creation. You can go to the service industry, or you can go into marketing or communication or public relationship. There are many, many industries where content creators have made their careers with their creativity and ability to write. Generative AI can now do that in milliseconds, can do it much better, faster, cheaper, and many times even at free of cost. So the impact on the content creation or the guys who are doing content creation is going to be very severe, and in some cases it has already started. So what will these content creators who were doing this content creation over last decades or few years are going to do in future? So they are going to become editors. Because for example, with generative AI, I can create a video, or I can create an image, or I can create a blog. Somebody has to just go through it, make sure that there is no bias, it is all correct, etc. And that's the big change. The second impact is going to be on the IT industry, and not going to be, it has already started. You must have seen the news about companies stopping recruitment or letting go of tens and thousands of people, because one of the big employment generator in the IT industry was writing code and documenting the code. Now, writing and documenting the code has become a fully automated process. So as you know, particularly in a country like India, we recruited tens and thousands of engineers straight from colleges to do the documentation on code, and large corporations use them very effectively all these years. But now with generative AI, I can give a code and write the code documentation in 10 seconds. So I don't need any more of those people. And even to the extent that these generative AI technologies can write code very quality and very accurately. So Samarpita, there can be some other industries, but as of today, in the near future, these are the two industries or two areas where there is a huge impact. I repeat, is content creators are going to become editors, and code writers and code documenters probably may have to look for some other assignment.
So, as we are diving deeper into the generative AI, what do you think? What are the key benefits that generative AI brings to enterprise customers?
A huge benefit, Samantha. The main benefit, as I mentioned to you, is that ability to ingest or remember the humongous content humans have created. Because human brain has a limitation of reading. We have time limitation. You can read in your life X number of books, or you can go through Y number of courses. Whereas now this machine has unlimited capacity. If you just see the OpenAI or ChatGPT numbers, they have trained the latest algorithm with 170 trillion data points. Now it is impossible for human brain to read and remember and come out of with any output from that knowledge. So therefore, the big benefit to enterprises, humans, or even in a personal lives is to know this knowledge very intimately through machines and generate content. So this will improve customer service. This will improve the cost of marketing. This will improve the cost of communication. It will create a lot of creative content. You can go to market fast. Samarpita, now the people are saying the new product launches are going to happen in weeks instead of years. Because earlier, if I want to write a code and create my idea into a product, I would take 2 years to develop the software, test it, document it, etc., and then launch. Whereas now, today morning, I have an idea. I can go to generative AI, get the code developed. Probably tonight I test it, and tomorrow morning I can launch the product. So there are going to be a lot of benefits in terms of going to the market much faster, much better, much cheaper. And enterprises are going to definitely adopt this generative AI to reduce the cost, go to market fast, improve the content, get the creativity at its highest level.
So, like generative AI might have become a one-man army.
You can say that, but I hope our audience and some of the you also know that there is a army behind generative AI.
Yeah.
Humans are creating generative AI. It's not something which is falling from the sky. So there is going to be the role change. There is going to be the role shift, and humanity has adopted it. Like imagine when there was a automatic teller machine or ATMs, banks have launched in like 30 years ago. There was a big way of saying, oh, everybody in the banks are going to lose jobs and ATMs are going to take away the jobs and etc. because you don't need any more teller behind the counter. But what happened? Actually, the banking industry kept on recruiting people. So same thing is going to happen. Generative AI is not necessarily one-man army. There is a big push going to be on the generative AI development, the content creators, content pushing into it. So there are lots of activities and will generate probably thousands or millions of jobs in that area. But traditional jobs are going to be definitely at stake. And this one-man army, which might feel like easier to be done in the front end, there's going to be a lot of heavy lifting on the back end.
Absolutely. Now, coming back to Findability Sciences, how does your generative AI solution address concerns around ethical and responsible AI use?
So, Sobita, the big issue of ethics and use of these technologies is first begins with the data and the content. So in the enterprise environment, there has to be guardrails in terms of what content is being trained to these algorithms in order to get the output. So what we are doing now is we have now combined the generative AI solution with the traditional machine learning solution, and which was very easy for us because we are a company which has already the foundation of AI. We do everything based on data, and even the generative AI needs the data. So when it comes to the ethics and the principles to use AI, what we have also started doing is conducting training to the C-level executives. Because yes, you can read newspaper, you can use ChatGPT in your personal lives and get excited about it or worried about it. But really, what is the potential and how it can be used? So, Samarpita, there is a huge requirement of training for the ethics in the corporate world. And I believe that can be done really by just doing this one-on-one sessions, explaining the CEOs its benefits and pros and cons, and then make use of these for really just improving accuracy or improving cost or improving the operational benefits and not beyond that.
So, how do you address concerns about potential job displacement due to implementation of AI in enterprise?
I don't think we should be much worried about it. Yes, there is need to be agility around it. the displacement is going to happen now. I don't believe that there's going to be any alternative. And as I said, that in the past, the humanity on this earth have dealt with this in a different, very creative ways. This generative AI will displace the jobs, but will create a lot of new jobs. So skill improvements, enhancements on what people are doing. And I'm sure you must have seen or read the quote which is just floating around all the social media. It's not the AI with which you are going to be worried about. It's going to be the people who use AI. So everybody should be aware, knowledgeable about these technologies, go through the training, use it, understand its benefit, and then just adopt this wave and make sure that you move to the new career path. So it's not going to really reduce employment on the earth. It is going to make the job profile change. I just simply explained to you that the content creators will become editors. So now you cannot sit and say, oh, I'm just a content writer or a blog writer. No, you need to now see how you can become editor and how can adopt those skills. So it's skill improvement and moving laterally or vertically into other roles.
Well, thank you. That marks the end of my questions. So if you have something to add, you can add it.
No, so it's going to be very interesting times. I'm sure the audience has enjoyed our question answers, Samarpita, and the generative AI is. In fact, there is a very interesting article from Tom Davenport. He's one of the very famous authority in America on data and AI. He's a professor at Babson. He recently wrote on Forbes is that people should not forget the jungle of AI for one tree of generative AI. So AI is a much, much bigger subject, topic, technology area, and people should not feel that the generative AI is the only tree in the jungle. So there are going to be a lot of allied technologies. There are going to be a lot of combination and permutations. So the audience should remember that generative AI definitely adds exciting mix into the mix, but it's not the end of it. And I really enjoyed talking to you. I hope the audience finds this useful.
Thank you for joining us today. The session was really insightful. I'm sure the viewers enjoyed it as much as I did. Thank you so much.